Sri Lanka's most powerful news brand.
If you want to know what's been happening here at home and across the world, well, you're tuned into the correct channel. A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News live on News First. I'm Mahina Bongso. Here's a look at your headlines.
Proposed ban on asbestos deferred. Potujana Perumuna files petition with Court of Appeal regarding rejected nominations. JVP leader criticizes conduct regarding the Hambantota Port Agreement. Robbery in Sapugaskanda foiled by vigilant locals.
For the stories in detail now, the Cabinet has suspended the proposal to ban the importation of raw material required to manufacture asbestos in Sri Lanka. The Minister of Plantation Industries, speaking at the Cabinet media briefing today, spoke about the Russian ban on Sri Lankan agro products.
We can solve this issue very quickly. Some people are trying to twist this for their own advantage. I saw a political leader of three-wheel political parties doing so. Those three-wheel parties will break down soon. The prestige of our tea still remains intact. I accept there will be adverse effects to the Russian market when there is a beetle in the consignment of the tea. The tea auction was held yesterday and today. The prices have not dropped. This is the winter season in Russia. The demand drops during the season. If we can solve the issue within 2 weeks, we will not have an adverse situation in our hands. We heard rumors through various sources this ban had a connection to the asbestos issue. But the official information was the ban was imposed because of the beetle they found. The Cabinet of Ministers suspended the decision reached to ban the importation of material required for the manufacturing of asbestos in the country from the 1st of January 2018. We hope that a team headed by Susil Premajayanta, the Minister of Science, Technology and Research, will go to Russia and provide us with a report on whether the white asbestos has harmful effects to the public. We are suspending the decision until we receive that report.
We have
unofficially received the 27th as the date. The team will leave either on the 25th or 26th.
The move taken by Cabinet to reject the proposal for two 600-megawatt coal plants was discussed at the Cabinet media briefing.
The proposal does not only contain the construction of two coal plants. A renewable energy policy was unveiled. It has a series of points and two of them relate to coal. The coal does not refer to what we already have here, but to something new called clean coal. I have discussed with people who are aware of this. I spoke against it in Cabinet. From what I could gather, clean coal costs more than LNG. We cannot speak of coal because the President has already said no to the Indian Prime Minister. He opposes it as a policy. If we go ahead with it, we will have to cut ties with India.
What is the future for Sri Lankan Airlines, the debt-ridden national carrier? Answers were given at the Cabinet media briefing today.
Seen the statement made by the chairman and CEO of the national carrier. They have asked employees to brace themselves because some will be removed. In fact, the chairman and the CEO must be removed. They are paid 3 million rupees a month. Why did they make such expenses when they are already in a crisis? When we were handed over administration, Emirates was actually making profits. That was tasked to a relative of the former ruler who does not even know anything about a plane. That was a serious crime they did. Almost ₹1 billion needs to be paid annually. That will have to be paid from the taxpayers' money. If we have those funds, we can grant further concessions and reduce the prices of goods even more. Those people have been allocated large sums of money. If profits are not made, why were they paid so much? They don't deserve to be paid even 300,000 rupees. That is correct. I am of the view. Immediate action must be taken to solve this matter. This will be discussed at the President's Economic Committee. We hope an immediate decision will be made. Let's wait and see during these 3 months.
Well, on Monday, we highlighted the fact that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and Tourism Minister John Amaratunga brought in a joint cabinet paper through the Cabinet Subcommittee on Economic Management to establish a partnership between Sri Lankan Airlines and AirAsia to create a low-budget airline to generate or promote tourism in the country. Now, just a reminder, there are 2 ministers in the country to overlook civil aviation and Sri Lankan Airlines respectively, Nimal Siripala de Silva and Kabir Hashim. Now, the proposal to bring in AirAsia to the country was explained to the Cabinet Subcommittee by the Group Head of Network and Regulatory Affairs of AirAsia, Dilhan Haradasa. Now, you may ask, so what? Well, that's a very genuine question. But let me explain. This is where the controversy begins. Dilhan Haradasa of AirAsia is the nephew of this man you see over here, Mahinda Haradasa. Now you may ask me again, why? So what? Who is Mahinda Haradasa? Well, in 2016, the Prime Minister appointed a committee, appointed Mahinda Haradasa to a committee to select candidates for the posts of Chairman, CEO and Directors of Public Enterprises. Now this is where the matter raises a couple of eyebrows again. Mahinda Haradasa, who recommended candidates for the post I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, also eventually goes on to become the director of Sri Lankan Airlines as well. Nepotism case number 1. Case number 2. Then you have Suren Ratwatta, who is the current Chief Executive Officer of Sri Lankan Airlines. Again, who is Suren Ratwatta? He is the brother of the Prime Minister's senior advisor, Charita Ratwatte. Mind you, Sri Lankan Airlines is covering its expenses with a bank overdraft of 7.5 billion rupees from 2 state banks. Now this is on the heels of Sri Lankan Airlines suffering from a myriad of losses and debts, while 4 of its top officials are getting paid monthly allowances of over 3 million rupees. Yes, let that sink in. 3 million rupees a month. We requested for the salary particulars of Suren Ratwatta, but this was denied. Similarly, our requests for the salary particulars of the CEO of ICTA and the Managing Director of the Development Agency were also denied. It makes you wonder, what is the actual use, or is there any use at all, of the Right to Information Act? Even though the previous government was strongly criticized for its nepotism, in plain sight, it seems as the same is happening right now. It doesn't seem all that different. The big question is, are they trying to pilot Sri Lankan Airlines to its own natural death? We place this question before you.
Have we forgotten? CEO of Perpetual Treasuries Kasun Palisena maintained contact with people who were the point of contact at a number of institutions. Kasun Palisena was in contact with Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation former Deputy General Manager of Investments Danuka Lienagamage. There were 16 calls, 6 SMSs between them. Kasun Palisena was in contact with the former chief dealer at the Employees Provident Fund Saman Kumara. There were 38 calls between them. Kasun Palisena was also in contact with Saman Kumara's brother Amal Iroshan. Saman Kumara and Danuka Lienagamage have been interdicted by their respective institutions following the revelations at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Former Superintendent of the Employees Provident Fund, Sangra Pillai Padmanaphan, in addition to having contact with Arjun Aloysius, was in contact with Anjali Mahendran. She is the wife of Arjun Aloysius and daughter of former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran. There were 30 calls between them. Padmanaphan also maintained contact with Maxwell Jaksa, driver to Arjun Aloysius. There were 67 calls between them. At the Presidential Commission, Padmanaphan was represented by parliamentarian M.A. Sumandran. Padmanaphan was one of the central bank employees questioned by CORP, and M.A. Sumandran was a member of CORP at that time.
Have we forgotten? The tenure of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the bond issue will end in 11 days. The people await the decision of the Bond Commission.
The 2015 and 2016 bond scams, the biggest theft in Sri Lankan history. Who should be held responsible for this grand theft? Who caused millions and millions in losses to the country's state banks? Who stole EPF money, the wealth you earned with your own sweat and blood? Who bowed down to fraud and corruption and allowed this massive theft? The entire nation awaits the final report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry on the issuance of Treasury bonds. The first to expose the bond scam, Newsfirst.
Take a look at a story that made it into the headlines tonight. Brave locals in Sapugaskanda foiled a robbery at a retail store, and it was all captured on CCTV.
Two men wearing helmets walked into the store at around 8 last night, and during the commotion, 2 shots were fired by one of the robbers.
They moved in 2 directions. One of them drew his gun and the other told me to put the money into a bag. They opened fire twice. One whizzed past me when I ducked, but the second hit one person behind. The one person grabbed one of them while the other robber was already in the street.
The man who was injured in the shooting was rushed to the Ragama hospital. However, as the robbers themselves were beaten badly by the locals, they were receiving treatment in hospital under police guard. A pistol, a revolver, 10 live bullets and a motorbike were seized by the police.
The local government elections are just around the corner, and the political arena is definitely heating up. To find out more of how the country is reacting and preparing for the local government elections and the incidents that are taking place ahead of it, we now cross over once again to the Newsfirst Centre, and we have Shahin Jarampati who's standing by there. Shahin?
Well, thank you very much, Mahina. Well, like you said, the local government elections are set for the 10th of February next year, and interesting incidents are actually taking place across the country. Now, yesterday, 4 supporters from a political party assaulted 4 doctors, claiming that they obstructed them from putting up posters. Let's take a look.
Police said a group pasting posters of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna had assaulted the doctors shortly before midnight yesterday. According to our correspondent, a refusal to move a car from the location selected to paste posters had led to this altercation. One of the doctors injured in the attack was moved to the Badulla General Hospital.
At a time when elections have been called for, the supporters of a candidate have used political power to assault a doctor even before they have been elected. If this is the situation, that is wrong. So, if they come into power, who knows how they would treat the people?
Now, Chamira Pereira, a political activist, made some strong remarks about former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and the Podujana Peramuna.
Mahinda Rajapaksa does not want his image on the posters of the Lotus Bud. He does not want his picture on the walls. This is indeed an astounding situation. He gives leadership to the Lotus Bud and the joint opposition. He is taking that burden on his laurels and asking people to come forward for that. But he does not want his image being used along with the party. What kind of politics is this? What is this opportune politics? On the one hand, they work to destroy the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. They seek revenge from the SLFP. On the other hand, they are not engaged in open politics. There is a saying in the village, to use what you have when doing something. We ask them to openly engage in politics.
Well, an incident which can certainly bring disrepute to the country. Madhusha Ramasinghe, a rising actress, claims 2 people in the Elections Commission requested unusual favours from her when she went to inquire about her nominations for the upcoming elections.
When I informed him the first time, he said this is wrong and promised to teach those men a lesson. But yesterday he told me he fears this conversation is being taped, so he has nothing to do. He asked if I am to be queen following the nominations and so make the sacrifice and come through a list. We referred to him as the leader who protected the nation. So even though the former president protected the nation, he failed to protect a daughter who sought his refuge even at his party office. Western Provincial Councillor Susil Kendilpitiya, who visited the Elections Commission today, commented on the situation faced by Madhusha Ramasinghe.
I randomly heard about this incident. I have questioned her about this injustice. When I inquired, she has actually requested for a nomination. A request had been made for a sexual bribe if she is to be given the nomination. This is a very serious situation. When political parties are acting in such a manner, we can assume how things were in the past. At a time demands are made for 25% and 30% allocation for women, someone is demanding a sexual bribe for nominations. It is clear to us of the operations of the political parties, and this needs to be changed. We must take strict action against this.
Madhusha Ramasinghe was escorted to the Velikada police to record a statement thereafter.
Parliamentarian Anurukumara Dissanayake, the leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, made an interesting comparison between India's recent test win against Sri Lanka and the recently signed Hambantota Port Agreement. I recall Ranil Wickremesinghe getting on stage. A single family had looted public funds to the tune of millions and billions, and that family will be brought before the law. A case will be filed in court, the looted assets will be recovered, the rogues will be sent to prison, and finally will make this country. Now we have to ask this from Ranil Wickremesinghe. Did you catch a single thief? You might recall the Bond Commission investigated matters relating to Ravi Karunanayake. They summoned him and asked where he lives. He says his house is being renovated, so he's living somewhere else. Is he living on rent? Ravi says his wife would know about this. How much is the rent? Ravi says his wife would know. Who is paying the rent? Ravi says his wife would know. Did you purchase the house? Ravi says his wife would know. How much did you purchase it for? Ravi says his wife would know. From where did you get the money to purchase it? Again, the wife would know. Would he not know if your wife was doing anything? Similarly, 2 lands in Dehiwala were purchased and amalgamated, and a massive house was built by Yoshita Rajapaksa. The FCID investigated the matter. Yoshita was summoned to the FCID. He was asked who owns his house. He said it was his. Who owns the land? He said it was his. From where did he get the money to build it? He said his grandmother gave it to him. They asked the grandmother whether she built a house for Yoshita. She said yes. Did you buy a land for him? She said yes. From where did she get the money? She says when she was alone at home and resting on a chair, a group in a white van came to her with a bag full of gems and gave it to her. She held on to the bag of gems for around 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, another white van came and gave her a bag of cash and took away the bag of gems. Police said okay, case closed. Will they be punished now? No. Imagine a village youth stealing a television. When he has a TV in his house, the police come and arrest him. The policeman asks, where did you get the TV? Then he would respond the following. One day it was raining. It grew worse with nightfall. I fell asleep. I dreamt of a fairy during my sleep. She came with a big TV. She kept it in my house and went away. When I woke up, there was a TV in the house, and this is that TV. Will the police simply say okay to that? They would drag him away, place him flat on a bench, and beat his heels in a way he would remember that fairy. That is what they would do to us. They promised to bring down the prices of goods. For the first time in history, the prices of rice, coconut and other essential goods skyrocketed. Imagine how the price of an exercise book, a pen, a pair of slippers, a chair, and even your clothes increased. They destroyed the economy completely. Recently, I saw after the sale of the Hambantota Port, Ranil Wickremesinghe raised a cheque above his head. Similarly, we witnessed how Virat Kohli raised the trophy following the win of the Test series and a double century. Over here, he sold the port and raised the cup. Kohli is the man of the series. Our guy is the man of the sale. Well, that was JVP leader Anurukumara Dissanayake. Well, that is it we have from here from the election headquarters. It's back to the main news desk where Mahina is standing by. Mahina, is back to you.
Thanks, Shaheen. In more local news, group leader of the Podujana Peramuna and 4 others filed a petition with the Court of Appeal today as a result of their nominations for the Maharagama Urban Council having been rejected.
The Colombo Selections Officer Damayanti Vanigasinghe and 3 others have been named as respondents in this petition. The petitioners request an order to be issued preventing elections take place for the Maharagama Urban Council until the petition is taken up and a decision is given, as the nominations were rejected based on a minor technicality.
Now, the countdown to Christmas has begun with celebrations organized all over the world to mark the birth of Christ. Preparations are underway right here at the head office of the Capital Maharaja Organization premises, where the Sirsa Christmas Zone is being organized. Let's cross over to Newsfirst Sarala Fonseca for what to expect at the Christmas Zone.
Good evening to all our viewers. At the moment, I'm in the Newsfirst Series Christmas Zone in Baybrook Street, Colombo 2, which will be open to the public tomorrow from 4 p.m. onwards. We're going to be here till the 23rd of December. There's a lot of things happening here tomorrow. There's going to be a snow city, there's going to be magic shows, and a lot of carols will be sung by school students. If you want to make this Christmas a memorable Christmas, here's the place for you to be. I'm Sarah Fonseca, back to the studios.
The first phase of the Gum at the Gumming Gummata Waving Wavata national initiative successfully concluded today. This national initiative was launched on Sunday with the aim of preserving the waver, the magnum opus of the ancient irrigation system of our country.
Gammata, Gumming Gummata, Waving Wavata.
As the first phase, the Newsfirst Gummadda Gumin Gummata Wavin Wavata was able to identify several problems surrounding the Lanka system in Bellan Kadavala. These problems have as yet to attract the attention of the officials. Research was carried out in the Palugas Waver and Bellan Kadavala areas as well as several other wavers.
We are in the middle of some heavy rain. However, the journey of the Gummadda Gumming Gummata Waving Wavata team continues even though it is seriously raining. We are about 1.5 kilometers from the by road which led us to this place. This is the Tala Kola Waver. This is described as an Olanga Waver, which is basically to say that this waver provides water to paddy fields that are adjoining this area, and in addition there is no human settlement in a location which is close by to this waver. So this is the speciality of this Talakola waver. Now the journey here was a bit of a tough one because as I said, there are no clear trails to this Talakola waver. We had to travel through about 1.5 kilometers of heavily wild elephant infested trails in order to get to this location. Our correspondents and our team have been traveling throughout this morning as well as over the past few days, braving rain, braving scorching suns, because we need to highlight, because we want to highlight the wonders of our ancient waver based culture that has been somewhat forgotten. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Ramesh Bandara, reporting from the Talakola waver.
If you take a look at the Lanka system, this is an important waver which is a solution to the human-elephant conflict in the area. This is a way to obtain water for agricultural activities.
With the lack of attention of the officials, the bunt of the waver is facing the risk of breaking off.
If the waver is filled to its maximum, there is a risk of this bunt breaking off. There is another request from the villagers. They say that the water from the Udakadavala waver in the Lanka system on the other side can be used to fill this tank. The farmers have dug a small canal to join the two, but when this tank is full, the water goes back to the other waver through the same canal.
The Information Technology Agency, or the ICTA, held a press conference yesterday to elaborate on the new projects that are being carried out by the agency. The press conference was held by Acting CEO of the ICTA, Dr. Ajit Maduram Peruma.
The advantages of digital goes to the people, through the government, through the society, and through the private sector development. Right? So we are looking at the education, we are looking at connecting government We are looking at the legal infrastructure and many other things we are doing. So we want you to take this to the people.
The ICTA also said that the Ministry of Telecommunication and Digital Infrastructure and the agency still hopes for the successful implementation of the failed Google Loon project. The agency's acting CEO says Google is yet to respond regarding the project. The ICTA is to launch a Data Protection Act. Legal Director of the ICTA, Jayanta Fernando, said that they are waiting for the implementation of the Right to Information Act to be implemented before going ahead with the Data Protection Act. He also spoke of the new legislation surrounding the ICT sector in the country.
The Electronic Transactions Act provides the legal basis for digital commerce. All digital transactions to be legally valid and for digital government initiatives to take place. We became the first country in South Asia, second country in Asia after Japan to become part of the Budapest Cybercrime Convention. And what does this do? So basically, two important points here. It brings our cybercrime enforcement straight away to an international standard. Why? Because Budapest Convention, the Council of Europe Convention on Cybercrime, is a treaty allowing enforcement officials to gather electronic evidence from foreign service providers. However, the convention also requires very stringent privacy and rule of law obligations to be met domestically by allowing for electronic evidence to be gathered under judicial supervision.
In addition, the ICTA has earmarked 1 billion rupees to introduce the Model Classroom project across the island. The project is to be implemented at the beginning of next year, and 250 million rupees has been allocated for the first year of this project.
Well, that's it from all of us here at the Newsfirst English News Desk. We leave you tonight with an illustrated news by Asanka Ladua Hetty. Good night.